Hey y'all, hey! Welcome back to Black Wolves Confessions with me, Jax. How's everybody doing today? Why going? Why am I saying going? What the fuck is wrong with me today? Happy Friday, everybody that's listening on a Friday. If you're listening on any other day, happy whatever day it is, y'all. So, today's episode is going to be a little bit different, but it's going to be an experience that I had to deal with as a child and honestly into adulthood. Like, that's what we're going to talk about, right? I'm not going to make this political at all, the best of my ability. Keyword, best of my ability, because I don't know enough about politics, and I'll get into the reason on that, but I know enough. I know what has pissed me off, what hasn't. Ooh, that was good. Anyways, but just, I want to talk about me coming here as a child from Germany to the United States. Just in case none of y'all know this, I'm actually an immigrant from Germany. I came here when I was 5 years old in 94. And I'm a green card holder, y'all. Not even a U.S. citizen yet, maybe. I don't know. That's still a decision that I am still trying to make, y'all. Not gonna lie. But we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about why, right? I want to talk about, the kid who didn't choose to move, the kid that didn't even know English whenever they came to a whole new fucking country at 5 years old, not knowing what's happening, what's going on, like, actually, what that even fucking meant, because at that age, you don't know what that means, right? That's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm so excited because I think there are so many of us that can actually relate to this story. And I do understand, okay, and I'm going to say this loud and clear because I do know this full-heartedly. That does not mean that my fear has not been the same. It may not be completely the same, but it is pretty close to it. Only because I am white girl with pretty blue hazel eyes. Bluish, greenish, hazel eyes, whatever color you want to fucking call my eyes, right? And I get it. There's a huge difference from an immigrant that is Hispanic, whatever, from another country that you can clearly tell that is actually from another country versus a white girl, okay? Because trust me, I've been compared. I've dealt with that. We are going to talk about that too, okay? Because I do think just because I'm a white girl doesn't mean that I didn't have all the scares or still having those scares, okay? So I do want to talk to y'all about that. But I had to figure out where I belonged. I was the kid that had to figure out where I belonged here. Okay? And I even had an extra layer of shit happening with me too because, like, my mom married a Hispanic man. So I am an immigrant, but a white girl that now is in a Mexican family. Make that make sense? So I get to explain all of that. Are y'all ready for this? Are y'all ready for this episode? I really, 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 really do hope that y'all are excited about this episode because I do think that a lot of y'all can probably fucking relate. And y'all, I am really sorry. Heads up, first off and foremost, because I just rewatched my last video like fully, and I really fucking play with my hair a lot, like as I'm doing it, right? Okay, so I think it's just me. I can't stay still. I have ADHD. I will talk about that too, actually. And so I have to move. And so my hair is my safe haven, I guess. Okay. So just so you know, if it bothers you, I'm sorry. Move along or just listen to the audio on Spotify. You can switch it to audio only, y'all. I don't know how all the other ones work, but I don't think that my videos are uploading to every platform, just FYI. But for those that are seeing this as a video, if you are getting frustrated, there is a way of just listening to the audio so you don't have to see me playing with my hair, okay? But my information is good, so please hang on and just watch. I can't wait to hear. Okay, so like I said, so I was born in Germany, okay, and I moved here as a child, as a 5-year-old child. Okay, I was just a few months away from turning 6 But no, hold on. Yeah, I was a few months away from being 6. Yeah, so I was here in 94. Sorry. But I was 5 years old when we came here. Okay. A little funny story about that from what my mom's told me on our trip here to the States. And first off, we went to Alabama. Those of you that know, I am from Texas. Okay, this is my home. I say what I say. Like, Germany is where I was born, but Texas is my home. Okay. But on the way to Alabama, because that's where my dad was stationed at the time, apparently me and my little brother peed on the airplane and made a mess while we were sleeping on the plane ride here. I don't remember that, by the way. Don't remember any of that, but that's okay. I thought that was a funny story, and I wanted to fucking start that because, like, poor whoever had to clean that up, y'all. I am so sorry for the flight attendant that had to deal with that. So, just putting that out there, whoever you may be, and if you remember and you're still alive and you're still doing the flight attendant, or rather you're just being a grandma or just an old lady with a bunch of cats or no cats or whatever, I am so sorry to you, whoever that might have been. But, so, you know what's really funny is, like, I don't really remember Germany. I have a couple little memories from Germany, honestly. And the one that I actually probably remember the most is like a snowball fight that my mom and my little brother and I had. And that's all I remember. Like, and I remember us all giggling and laughing and having fun. That's literally the only good memory that I remember in Germany. That's it. The rest are bad. But, which aren't many. I only have like 2 to 3 other memories that are bad from Germany, but it's also collided because I can't tell if it was Germany or Alabama. Okay, just in my defense. But I do remember that, and that was a good time. Okay, and then I don't even remember if we moved on post or if we lived in an apartment or what when we came to Alabama. Honestly, the first memory that I really have from the States was in Texas. It was one of the cities, the first cities that we moved into. I'm not going to say it because then you'll know exactly where I am. Safety issues, whatever. But it was one of the first cities that I moved to. And I remember riding our bikes all the time. That's all I really remember. That, and honestly, like, which is weird. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember, I don't even think that I really fully realized that we were in a different country for a little while, to be honest. For a long while, actually. I remembered all of a sudden now I had to learn English. And then I'm still upset to this day at my mom. Like, my mom didn't keep up my German because she wanted me to focus on English so much that she didn't speak to us in German. And so I lost my German. So English is my second language, but I don't even remember my first language, if that tells you anything. And, like, I know some words and some phrases, like, don't get me wrong, okay? But I don't remember my first language as a whole when that was my first language. Just saying. Food for thought there. One of the questions that, you know, I've been asked so many times when people know that I'm from Germany, because a lot of people don't even realize it until I tell them, because I have a Texas accent. I don't have a German accent, right? Like, there's a couple of words my best friend will call me out on, and she's like, ooh, that sounded a little German, mama, or boo, or whatever she decides to call me that day. But for the most part, I sound Texan. I don't sound German, right? So most people don't know until I tell them. So hello, I'm Jacqueline, and I am from Niederoberstein, Germany. So, like, nobody knows that, right? And so I think it's really interesting because when they do find out, the first question is, One, have you ever been back? And unfortunately, I have not. However, I do finally have my passport, and I do want to make a trip, and it is going to happen eventually, okay? It is going to happen. And then a second is, do you miss Germany? And sadly, I don't remember Germany enough to miss it. All I ever have known is Texas. Like, Texas is my home. I'm not going to say that, like, I'm not proud of my roots and everything like that, and that I'm German, okay? Like, that's not what I'm saying here. What I am saying here is I don't remember Germany, and therefore, what am I supposed to miss? I do remember it being really beautiful, but that's really all I remember, like, especially when it was snowed. Like, I do remember that, because like I said, that memory of the snowball fight. Like, I remember how pretty everything was. But that's all I remember. Do I want to see it just because I want to know if maybe, like, something triggers on my head and I remember something? But for fuck's sakes, I was 5 years old when I came here. Like, what am I going to remember from 0 to 5? Probably not a lot, right? So, I don't know. I don't know what I miss from Germany other than the beautiful castery scenery, right? And then also, like, how hard was the change for you? And honestly, like, I don't blame my mom for not keeping up my German by any means, because I do understand her reasoning for it. I think she just wanted us to fit in so much that, and honestly, to be fair, now they get to speak German and talk shit about us, and that's what they did all my life. Or any important conversations, my parents would talk in German. It's funny, my dad is Hispanic, doesn't really speak Spanish, but speaks German. But whatever, funny little fact there. But I think that I didn't realize how big of a change it was until probably, I don't know, honestly. I think, honestly, whenever my real father came to visit, probably. I think is whenever it really fully hit me. And I may be wrong. It might have happened a little bit sooner, okay? I wasn't made fun of as much being from Germany as, you know, the Hispanics from Mexico or Spain or wherever they might have been from, right? Like, I just think that I just knew something was different because I was the white girl, and I knew, because anytime, I do remember this a little bit. I do remember whenever there were people that found out I was German, like, they threatened to call ICE on me. And at that time, I didn't have paperwork. And so I know how scared I was then, but I didn't still fully comprehend it until later in life. Like, honestly, I don't think that I really fully like 100% comprehended it until I got my green card, to be honest with you. Because then I realized what a relief it was once I finally did get it. And that was in my early 20s. That tells you anything. Okay? And so I think that, like, the big differences and things like that, like, I didn't really see anything different. Like, my stepdad lived with us in Germany, and so, like, then we came here, and he's been a part of my life since I was 2 years old. And so, like, for 3 years before we came here, like, he was there. I don't remember everything, obviously, but I just know, like, I probably didn't really realize the difference, like, other than the fact that now I had a big brother. Because I don't really remember, like, I know he came to Germany, but I don't know how much we spent time with him there. Like, I don't remember any of that. So, I think, like, but my stepdad was still a constant. So, like, we came here, but now we met more family and all of that. Like, that was the only difference, really. And then I just realized all of them look like my dad, right? Like, I didn't really see the difference other than the language barrier, I think, honestly, when I came here, you know. And I think that realizing how big of a change it was, I didn't really realize it until probably late teens, early 20s, to be honest. just being honest, right? You know, as adults, we make choices. As kids, life just kind of happens to us. Like, we don't have a choice in the matter, right? As a child, we do not have a choice. Our parents make the decision and we have to go along with it, right? We don't have a say. And I'm not saying that kids need to have all these choices about like where you live or anything like that. Like, that's not up to them. I get that. I understand that, because trust me, if it was up to my kids, we would have never moved from our first house that they remember the most, right? But I think though but as an adult, as a parent, we don't realize what that does to our children sometimes, right? Just putting that out there. I do know what I did realize for myself growing up was school was harder for me. I feel like I knew German, and then all of a sudden I didn't. And now I know English, but now I've been diagnosed with dyslexia, and then I'm being put in special education. Sorry, y'all. Which I was in until middle school sometime. And then I was behind. Like, I was in the same grade as my little brother. Like, we graduated the same year because of the fact that, like, the language barrier. Like, I knew more German than I knew English for a really long time. And so, like, they held me back. Like, I was put into first grade and then held back in first grade because they couldn't put me in kindergarten even though that's what they wanted to do. If that tells you anything. I do remember that because my mom did tell me that. But I always just felt behind. I was the oldest kid pretty much in my grade every time. First off, my birthday's late. I'm an October baby. Then on top of that, I was put in first grade, held back, which really in reality, by my age, I should have been in second grade, right? But then I'm held back. So held back in first grade. I should have been technically in third grade per my age. Granted, I know the cutoff, whatever. Like, I should have been a second grader. But still, like, I was the oldest in my grade almost every year. There might have been one student older than me. One, if I was lucky. And then I was like, yes, I'm not the oldest anymore. I was excited when that happened. I'm not going to lie to you. Which mostly happened in my high school years. But that's okay. And then just feeling different, especially in my elementary years. I feel like that's probably where I probably felt the most different, to be honest with you. Just because I knew there was a language barrier at first at the beginning. But I don't feel like that language barrier really held me back that much, to be honest, except like first grade. I think once I went to second, I think it was probably better for me. I don't really remember though. That part I don't. But I do remember being put in special education and just feeling like I was stupid all the time. But I was the smartest dyslexic in the class. And I don't mean that as a shade. Like, sometimes my special ed teacher would be like, why are you in here, Jackie? Like, literally asked me that. And I'm like, I don't know. But then, like, I wasn't taken out. And then finally there was a teacher that finally asked, and I think it was my 5th or 6th grade year, and they were like, why are you in here? Like, you're excelling. Like, you have your little I don't know if y'all remember these or not, and if you're dyslexic, hopefully y'all remember these, but if you weren't dyslexic and you might have saw somebody with like these clear sheets but that were colored, colored. There we go. What am I fucking saying here? I had my color that worked for me, and I was fine with as long as I had this little thing, which I didn't even need. I think I just stopped using because I was embarrassed, to be honest, more than anything, right? But I didn't always need it. It was just for certain types of paper that I needed it the most, to be honest, right? And then I do remember, because I was in special ed, a lot of people just assumed that I wasn't smart, but like clearly my teachers kept asking me, why are you here? I do remember that. And I did feel stupid. Like, I got made fun of a lot because I was in special ed. And special ed was only mainly for reading, if I remember correctly, too. Like language arts, reading, things like that. Like, I don't remember being in special ed for like math or any of that. I might have been, but I don't remember that. I remember it specifically for reading. And then I just, and you know, it's odd, like, as much as like I was dyslexic, I loved the library for some reason. I didn't read a lot though. That's what's fucked up. Like, I don't remember reading a lot as a child. I remember reading some things. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I did read books. Like, I'm not saying that I didn't, but I remember loved being in the library, right? And I think that, like, my librarian probably helped me the most and probably helped my special ed teacher get me out of special ed, honestly. I really truly believe that. And that may be wrong. I don't know what actually happened behind the scenes, but I was always in the library and I was always looking at stuff. I remember that, but I don't remember why. Like, and I hate that. Like, I blacked out on some things. That makes me mad, but that's okay. And then I feel like for a little while, I was really embarrassed for asking questions in my earlier years, and eventually I stopped caring about asking questions. Like, I didn't feel stupid or embarrassed to ask questions. Honestly, I feel like no question is a dumb question, personally. Not everybody agrees with that statement, but I agree with that statement. Like, I'd rather understand than not fucking understand. So I'm gonna ask questions. And for a while, I really was embarrassed for that. Embarrassed. Like, my coworkers know that if I have a question, like, it's because I'm just trying to understand. They know I'm not afraid. Hey, I have coworkers come to me and be like, hey, can you go ask the manager this? Because I know you are not afraid, but I just don't get it. Do you get it? And if I don't, they're like, okay, can you go ask so we can understand? And I'm like, yeah, sure, got this. Like, literally, I have coworkers that do that. I've always had coworkers. In my adult years, I've had that. Thank God. Now, as a kid, I did not. I will say that. As a kid, I did not. But I do want to touch a little bit more on dyslexia, because I feel like a lot of people... Okay, so first off, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. Okay, let me say this, because this does matter. Why I'm going to pause for a second on the statement I was just about to say. Okay. But I also had ADHD. I find this out later in life, in late 20s, early 30s, if that tells you anything. Okay. But because I was diagnosed as dyslexic, they automatically assumed that it was just because of my dyslexia on why I was the way that I was. Okay. Later on, I find out that a lot of the things and the traits and the things that I did as a child made sense for my ADHD diagnosis later in life. Okay. So I feel like people often mistake struggles for learning disabilities, as a lack of intelligence. Those are not the same thing. Okay. That's what I want to go with. Dyslexic or ADHD or AUDHD or however you fucking say that, because I always say it wrong. Leave me alone. Anything that could be a learning disorder in some shape or form, being autistic even, or whatever, right, doesn't automatically make you dumb. It doesn't. Okay, so I want you to understand that, like, just because you have these things, and yes, I'm speaking to you who thinks you are dumb because you have these, or people that think that people are dumb because they have these. We are not dumb. I'm going to say that loud and clear. We are not dumb. Okay, we are actually very intelligent people if we apply ourselves. Unfortunately, there are those people that don't apply themselves, and they utilize the fact that they have these disabilities in some type of form. Yes, that's what they are. They are disabilities, okay? As an excuse on why they cannot succeed. There are people that way. That doesn't mean they're dumb. No, they're just using it as an excuse because they're lazy. Okay? Is it harder for us? Yes, it is. It can be. Not gonna lie to you, it can fucking be harder. But it does not make us not smart. We are very intelligent. I hope y'all know that. Okay? And I feel like there was a lot of people that really did think I was stupid because I was in special ed. Actually, there's a lot of things that happen in my generation that now we get to use today thanks to us dyslexics. You're welcome. And I'm not getting into that. I know there was things, and honestly, I really actually rather my man talk about that because he has a lot more information and factual stuff on that. And I do know, he doesn't know this though, well, he does, but he doesn't know when we're going to do this, but I do know we're going to end up doing an episode with him eventually. It is going to happen. He doesn't have a choice. He's got to support me. But I am going to say, like, there's things that us dyslexic people got to do for us now. Way back then. And we didn't even know what the fuck we were doing yet. Just so y'all know. We didn't know. It was just happening. So, but I do want to just say, like, we're not dumb. And I just remember just a lot of people thinking that I was really stupid because I was in special ed. Let me finish that thought finally, because I've literally said that like 4 times now. But in reality, we're not stupid. And I really, like, I think that was probably the hardest thing that I went through in my elementary years was, like, being in special ed. Honestly. And I think it was part of my middle school. I don't think I was out until 7th grade. I think. If I remember correctly. And so, 6th or 7th grade. Something like that. And so, I just, like, to you bullies out there, okay, that make fun of people that have disabilities, that are in special education, like, fuck off. Y'all are fucked up. First off. Gonna be a little blunt there, okay? But second off, like, to anybody that you do know that you did do this to, and you now realize, because you finally educated yourself, and you actually realize how awesome we really fucking are, you need to go apologize to those people that you fucking made fun of. Figure it out. Even if you are posting it on Facebook, hey, I'm sorry to whoever I made fun of because now I know better. You should really fucking do that. I'm just saying, okay? I hate those people that, like, think that because, you know, we're in special ed just makes us dumb. It's not the case, and that really pisses me off. I'm just going to be honest. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this statement, and then we're going to talk about it, okay? I'm actually going to read it because I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it, okay? I spent a lot of my life trying to figure out where I belong. The older I get, the more I realize I don't have to choose one side. Okay? And what I mean to that is sometimes I feel really German to some people, and then other people, I don't feel like I'm German enough. Okay? My ex-husband's gonna kill me for me saying this. And I know he was joking, but, you know, he used to call me a Nazi sometimes, jokingly, okay? Or that I was a Jew killer, or whatever, just to pick on me, right? And he loved the fact that he had a German wife, for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he did. And I just think that, like, there were people that did that as, like, just joking, like, funsy thing. But there was people that actually said that to me that were serious. Right? And I don't think my ex-husband was one of those by any fucking means. Like, he really was doing it because that's just the type of person he was. He was very funsy, loved joking around, fucking around, seeing how far he can go. Okay? Like, and also, we were in our early 20s, okay? In our defense. But, like, I just feel like it was... The thing is, and what I don't know that he even knows, is, you know, people used to say that to me when they were bullying me. Oh, you Nazi. Hitler. You're a Jew killer. Just because I fit the mold of the perfect German back then, right? I would have been one of the ones that were saved. Just saying, right? Back in those days. And so, like, sometimes I felt like I was too German, But then when it actually came to my German side of the family, I didn't feel German enough. I felt American. Like, I feel like for me, I didn't have to choose a side. It was just a matter of finding my place on both sides, right? Like, I don't really truly feel like I fit in either box. I'm an immigrant with a fucking green card here in America, but I also don't even know my own language back in Germany. I don't feel like I honestly fit in either box, right? I really don't. I feel more at home here, sure, but that's only because I've literally lived here 30 plus years, right? Honestly, I feel like that's the only reason why this feels more at home. Granted, yes, I have lived in California and other parts of Texas, but I've spent majority of my time in Texas, right? And so I feel more at home here, sure, right? But I still don't feel like I fit in either box. And that's actually, I'm going to use this as my segment too of like, sometimes I want to do dual citizenship. Sometimes I just want to become a US citizen only. Sometimes I just want to stay a German citizen and just keep renewing my green card. Like, honestly, I just don't know because I don't know which box to pick. And honestly, I keep landing on back on dual citizenship because I don't want my heritage to go away, but I also don't want to not be an American citizen, but I also don't love the world right now, period. And we're not getting into details on that, but it's the reality of the reason why I haven't chose to do anything yet. Like, I just renewed my green card a couple years back, and honestly, I just kind of want to sit with that for a little bit. I have like 6 to 8 years, I don't even know, 6-7 years left, and I don't know because I don't know which box to fill. I'm not really proud to be here sometimes, and then I'm also not a proud German because I don't even know my own language. I don't even really know a lot about my heritage, to be honest with you. And it makes me feel like I'm just in my own bubble of Jack's world sometimes, to be honest, when it comes to that, right? And so I think that a lot of people don't understand that dynamic for a lot of people. And especially when, like, I look like a lot of the Americans here, right? I really, unless you truly know German heritage and all of that, like, really in reality, I just look like every white person out there, right? I don't look different. I speak like y'all. So for me, it's weird. It's a weird dynamic for me, honestly, right? I feel like we have this perspective of things of like, hey, what are we doing here? And then at the same time, like, because this is home, right? There's been a part of me that I've always wanted to go back to Germany and just live there for a year. Then I had kids. And also I didn't have my green card then. In my defense. Around that time. I literally got my green card, and then not even a couple years later, I got pregnant. So, like, I just feel like I never got that opportunity because I just wanted to see where I grew up. I know that, like, when my aunts came to visit, and I've had one uncle come to visit, and then my real father came to visit once. I just do know how different I felt from them versus how I felt here. I felt safer here with my people versus my own people from Germany that's actually blood related to me, which is kind of sad. And I don't mean to, like, hopefully any of my family in Germany are hearing this. I'm so sorry if this hurts your feelings, but I just felt a disconnect. Like, I didn't feel like they understood how I grew up because they don't. And I did feel that disconnect because of it. Not that I didn't love them or that I didn't want a relationship with them or any of that, because that's not true. I do want all that. I think I just still have that disconnect where, like, I will say this, most Hispanics that know Spanish that came here as an immigrant, their parents aren't letting them not know Spanish majority of the time. I will say 9 times out of 10, a Hispanic of whatever kind, right, knows Spanish if they came from Mexico, right? And even a lot of I'm not going to say every Hispanic knows Spanish, because obviously reality is that's not true. But I will say, if they actually came from Mexico, they still know Spanish. Where in my dynamic, I came from Germany. German was my first language, yet I don't know German anymore. No bits and pieces of it, that's all I know. Hell, I think my little sister knows more German than I do, and she's never been to Germany. Just food for thought there. Okay? So, there's that. So, I am working on that. I'm still working through that because I'm trying to find my box. And honestly, I truly do believe that I'm probably just going to become a dual citizen. I'm just being honest. It's probably what's going to end up happening eventually. When it's going to happen, I don't fucking know. But I just feel like that's probably what's going to be what ends up happening. Just being honest, right? Just so I don't have to keep renewing my green card every 10 years, because it's annoying as fuck. And it gets costly whenever I could be paying the same price and to be one and done, right? I'm just really scared of the test. And honestly, you know, this is one thing that I do think. I think that if you graduate high school from here and go to school all your life here, you shouldn't have to do the immigration test. Because I'm telling you now, no American can pass that test on the first go around, period, unless you are a history buff. Sorry. I said what I said. Trust me, because a lot of Americans tell me this all the time. Anyways, but I'm going to say what the struggles taught me as a person, especially coming from a different country. Oh, and that's one thing that I did want to touch too. Like, I know that I have the privilege of being white. Not that I chose this by any fucking means. And I'm going to tread lightly here because I also have a whole different feeling too, okay? And we'll get into that without being mean about it. I don't think it's really mean anyways, but I know that I have the privilege of being white. And so with my little country accent, Texan accent, right? A lot of people don't know that I'm from Germany unless you actually really look. Nobody will think to ask me, hey, do you have your paperwork? I'm the last person they're going to look at, right? And so I get that dynamic, that I got that pleasure of not having to worry, where I know everybody from Mexico and stuff like that are dealing with ICE situation today, okay? You can clearly tell by their color, usually, right? Or their brown eyes, or brown hair, or some feature on them. You can usually tell that they're in the Hispanic heritage, right? It just is what it is. And I'm not saying that to be mean by any means, because we all know what everybody looks like, right? You know, and then the Asians dealing with what the Asians are doing, and the African American that are from Africa are dealing with, right? Like, we know, like, y'all, we can tell, which not all of y'all need this, because a lot of y'all are fucking U.S. citizen, which is what also pisses me off. That's where my other fucking feelings about this is, okay? Like, we have a lot of U.S. citizens that are Black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, right? And that's what pisses me off so much. But I do realize there is a huge difference. Like, if you don't have an accent and you're white, you're not looked at. I've never been looked at like, hey, do you have your paperwork? And so I think that there's just things like, even, actually, this is a good fine example. Like, even at work, whenever I'm like, okay, here's my green card, and they're like, wait, what? I hand them my social and all of that, but I know, because I'm an immigrant, I have to give that. Like, I was told by the immigration office, hey, every time you get a job, you need to give them your green card. I'm like, okay, cool, got it. So I do that. And like, These HR people that I'm handing my green card to, they're like, what the fuck? Where are you from? Germany. Oh, what? You sound Texan. I'm like, I am Texan. I just never got my citizenship. My parents didn't do that. It is what it is. I didn't do that. I don't know if I want to. Yeah, no, the world sucks right now. Yep, sure does, right? And so, but I do want to say, like, the things that I've learned about, you know, the struggles of being a green card holder versus, and just my life. Like, the fact that I didn't get my driver's license until my early 20s. Like, most people are getting their license at 16 to 18, right? That's why most people are getting their license. I didn't get mine until I was 22, I think, 23, somewhere around there. Like, that's weird. It's really, honestly, mostly unheard of, especially for someone that actually wanted their driver's license, right? Now, if you didn't want your driver's license, but you were forced to, or whatever, because something fucking happened, whatever the situation is, that's a whole different ballgame. But I wanted it, and I couldn't get it because I didn't have my green card, right? But it did touch me a lot of resilience. Like, I really, first off, one thing that I will say too is, like, in my childhood, I literally moved every single year until my junior year of high school. Every year. And so for me, I had to learn the resilience of being the new girl. And at first, if I remember correctly, I probably did have like a tiny bit of accent in my elementary school years, right? But obviously that went away eventually, thank God, for the sake of just not fitting in my head. That's the way that I think of it. Not that I'm not okay with if I would have had it, but like in a way of, thank God I didn't have to also deal with that dynamic too, okay? Because I know people that have, right? And I know what they went through. I learned resilience and learning my place. And also, like, one of the good things about, like, switching schools every year, I got more and more confidence. Like, I eventually made it to where I had more and more confidence because of the fact that, like, ooh, this is a new school. Nobody knows me here. Ooh, I can finally, when I finally had that switch of asking questions, I can finally ask questions and nobody's going to think that I'm weird or I'm being, you know, outspoken or whatever, or trying to cause issues. Like, I had that switch in my head, like, oh, okay, I can finally do this. I can change who I am. So adaptability, like, I had so much adaptability growing up. Thank God for that, right? I feel like I don't ever talk to a stranger now, thanks to my upbringing, to be honest with you. Also, I had to learn how to advocate for myself. However, I did not learn that until my 30s. I'm gonna be honest with you. Other than school stuff, I think. School stuff, I did do that a little bit, but for a normal, everyday life, whatever, no, I didn't. I didn't learn that till my 30s. Okay? But I did have to learn to advocate for myself. I have empathy for other people who are struggling because, honestly, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but there are different levels of dyslexia. There are different levels of autism, probably the right word to say on that, my bad. There's different levels of ADHD. There's different levels of also having ADHD and being autistic, which now they are calling ADHD or something like that, right? Like, and there are different levels for all of that. How now that ADHD is out, like, I honestly think that's what I have now. I have not been diagnosed. I have not gone to a therapist for that specifically. And honestly, I don't really care at this point. Right now, I'm more worried about my trauma therapy. But that's besides the point, right? But I will say, like, there are different levels of all of that. And so, like, I do have more empathy now for those people. Because sometimes I'm like, why aren't they getting this? Right? Or worse, I'm not even hard on myself on some of it. I'm like, why am I not getting this? Why? Right? But it's because that person isn't saying it the way that I need to hear it to actually understand what they're saying. But they don't know that. Right? So now when I talk to people that are also, I can tell they're ADHD or whatever it might be, right? I have a lot more patience and understanding, and I have empathy for them, and I'm trying to make it, I try to say it so many different ways until they understand. Also, I will say that kind of bleeds into my everyday life too. Like, I over explain a lot of things because I feel like people don't understand because I don't understand when certain people say it a certain way. I'm like, does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, because when you've been the person trying to catch up on your whole life and you learn how important kindness really is, you learn to do it to others, or for others, I should say. You have to be patient with other. Whenever you know, like I said, I've always felt a little behind because of my ADHD and because of my dyslexia and all of that, and now possibly a UDHD, right? Like, I always felt a little behind or misunderstood. One of the two. Always. And so now I feel like I do have that. I can go into something without judging them based on what I see now. Like, I have no problem with anybody now. Like, but if I didn't also struggle with it, like, here's a good example. There's always a dialogue in my head. Okay, I'm going to give you an example on something that happens. Let's say that I have a doctor's appointment at 2 p.m. Okay, I work my time backwards. Okay, it's going to take me about 30-45 minutes to get to the office. I need to be there at least 15 minutes early. So that means that I need, okay, let's say 2:30. So I need to be there 15 minutes early. It's going to take me 45 minutes to get there. So I need to leave an hour early. So I need to leave at 2:30. But, you know, I'm also going to be hungry. So I need to leave probably maybe like 30 minutes before that so I can go through the drive-through of such and such. Ooh, maybe I should leave another 45 minutes early. Maybe an hour, just to give me time to eat and everything and kind of cool down. Blah, blah, blah. I literally work my time backwards. And then I'm like, okay, I gotta leave here at 1 o'clock. Or 12:30. Whatever I land on, right? Depending on how many stops I gotta make on the way. That's what I mean. Like, I have a dialogue all the time in my head because of my ADHD. Guaranteed that's what that's from. And apparently a little bit probably because of my dyslexia. I also see shapes. Like, I can literally look in my hand and I can literally, like, I see a 3D square right now because that's what I thought about in my head. That's what dyslexia and ADHD and all that kind of stuff can do for you, depending on what you got, which version of it. Okay? And so, where somebody that doesn't have any of that, guess what? Y'all don't have a dialogue like that. Right? You're like, what the fuck is she talking about right now if you don't have any of these things? I'm just being honest, right? You probably do not know what the fuck I'm talking about because you're like, no. When you go to sleep, it's silence in your head, right? Most of the time. Majority of the time, probably. Not me. I go lay in bed and I'm literally thinking about everything under the sun. I cannot shut my fucking brain off. It sucks sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you. It really does. That's why it always takes me a couple hours to fall asleep, because I'm trying to shut my brain off. Unless I turn on sleep music. Then I'm good usually. Had to learn tricks, y'all. I think what I really wish that people understood back then, and also even my parents, okay, like, I will say this, like, my mom's first language is also German, right? Her second language is English. So I also wish that, like, my dad would have helped more. I don't remember him helping with homework and stuff. Like, from the years that I can remember doing homework or anything, nobody helped me with homework. Hell, half the time I probably didn't even do it, to be honest with you, because I didn't get help from at home, unless my brother helped me, right? Or brothers, I should say. If my brother actually understood that, right? And so I feel like, for me, like, that's one thing that, like, I really wish that people understood more of language. Learning a language takes time. Like, I feel like my dad was more focused on making sure that um, the bills were paid and all of that. Like, he wasn't focused on our schooling or anything. I really don't feel like it, okay? But we had to pass. Make that make sense. But whatever. I do remember that too at one point. And so when obviously my mom didn't understand, which fuck, she didn't even understand what she was reading majority of the time for a little while, right? And I'm not saying that to be mean. Like, my mom couldn't read English right away. It took her time to learn how to read English. She still has a hard time sometimes. She's gotten a lot better, especially now that texting exists and now everybody only wants to text her. But that's besides the point, right? Like, my mom couldn't help us. And I also feel like that's where I really wish that my dad would have stepped up and helped us with homework and shit, to be honest with you. I'm just being, like, that's just my perspective of things and how I feel about that time. And then, like, just remembering the fact that I was dyslexic, right? Like, I feel like sometimes I feel like my family honestly, like, forgot I was dyslexic. And so some things took more than one way of explaining something to me before I fucking understood it. I also know I'm a visual learner, right? And so, but back then I didn't really fully comprehend what the fuck that meant. I just knew I was a visual learner, but I didn't know how to, like, explain that. And so, and again, I just really wish that they didn't think that I was being stupid. It was just because of my dyslexia and I needed it to be explained differently. That's what I really wish that people remembered back then and understood, really. Also, that kids don't get to choose where they were born or where they move. So for those of you that are bullying an immigrant right now, because I know we still have them, right? Hello, I am one. Okay? If you are bullying an immigrant, especially a fucking child immigrant, you're sick. Even if you are a child. That's one thing. And if you are allowing your children to bully other children just because they're an immigrant, you're fucked up. Like, this is one thing that, like, as a child, we do not have a choice on where we go. And actually, funny thing is my brother and I think eventually, also I was part of this conversation, eventually had to make my now partner understand that. Because he had a different viewpoint than he does now on even children immigrants, okay? For me, if you are allowing your child to make fun of a child immigrant when they didn't have a fucking choice of where they were born or where the fuck they were brought to, y'all are bad. And you need to get your shit together. As a child of being a child immigrant myself and watching my friends that were immigrants that you could tell were immigrants, and the little bit of bullying, because eventually I learned not to tell people I was from Germany other than people that I actually fucking trusted, okay? The little bit of bullying that I had to deal with is fucked up because you don't know the situation, and the fact that you are allowing your children to do that is really making me upset. Teach your children better. You want to be mad at the adults that are coming here and whatnot and not doing it the right way. I can understand that. I'm not even mad about that. But also, you don't know what they came from. I know for a fact, sorry mom if this makes you mad too, my mom was escaping my abusive real father. That was part of it. He wouldn't stop. Wouldn't stop trying to get back with her, I guess, or some stupid shit, if I remember correctly from what she told me, right? And he was an alcoholic. Like, she didn't want that around her fucking kids. And I don't blame her at all for that. Okay? But What I will say is that there's some people that are surrounded by gangs and literally could be killed at any fucking moment, and especially in Mexico. Happens everywhere, but we probably hear a lot more stories about Mexico because we are literally attached to Mexico, right? The south of our border is attached to fucking Mexico. And depending on where you live, I'm in Texas, right? I hear about it a lot because a lot of the immigrants come to Texas, right? And so you don't know the life that they're living. And I'm not saying that immigrants don't need to do it right. I 100% agree with you on that. But some of them don't have that opportunity. Some of them are just trying to make sure they stay alive. Just let that sink in. And I'm not trying to turn this into a political thing by any fucking means. At the end of the day, though, I am going to say this. America, we're all immigrants, one shape or form. The Indians were here first. So remember that, please. And I know a lot of people don't realize that, or don't remember that, or still don't care, know that, but don't care. But it's really messed up that y'all don't think like that. And like I said, people are carrying battles that you don't even know about. They're trying to escape things, they're trying to do things, and I just think that that's something that everybody should really fucking remember. And I think that's the part that really, like, dealing with all of this ICE stuff that we're dealing with right now, because I'm really not following a lot of it, don't get me wrong, because at the end of the day, I really don't want to, because I don't want to be anxious. I'm a very anxious person. But I also know there are things happening, and I've seen some of them, okay? I'm not stupid. I am watching some of it enough to know what's going on, but not enough to make me anxious. That's what I'm doing, okay? But I just want y'all to realize what y'all are doing, like, honestly. I really do. Like, we're not bad people just because we're from another country. Are there bad people coming from anywhere? Absolutely. But are there also bad people here? Yeah. We have murderous people that aren't immigrants, that are U.S. citizens. We have child molesters that are not immigrants, that are U.S. citizens in y'all's eyes. Like I said, even though we're all immigrants. Sorry. Why does it doesn't matter. I understand that we're trying to keep this country safe, but we're never going to be safe. Okay? Unfortunately, as much as I hate to say that, I just don't believe that. Unless everybody decides not to be bad, it's never going to happen. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Okay. Next thing, I want you to be patient with people. You never know what mountains they're climbing while they're standing right in front of you and putting a smile on their fucking face. You don't know what somebody is living right now. I have a friend that's going through so much shit, but she looks like the happiest fucking person, but whenever you start hearing her tell you what the fuck is going on with her life, you're like, how are you happy? What the fuck? You don't know what mountain they're climbing right now. Be patient. And be nice. For fuck's sakes, be nice. Okay. So, I spent a lot of years feeling like I was behind everybody else, and I'm finally over that. Thank God. Behind in language, behind in school, behind in understanding the world around me. But looking back now, I realized I was never really behind. I was learning how to survive in a world that felt brand new to me. And honestly, I'm pretty proud of that little girl today. I talk a lot about inner child stuff. And this is one of the things that I know that I've had to tackle. And I really am proud of that little girl inside of me that dealt with that life. That dealt with the uprooting from being from one country to another country and navigating through it. I might have given my parents hell. Sorry, y'all. But I am still really proud of that little girl because I made it through some storms and some mountains. I climbed some fucking mountains, y'all. So I'm going to leave it at that. This episode turned out to be a little longer than I expected to be, but I do just really want to thank y'all for watching and being part of my pack. And I really want y'all to like, comment, share, repost, tell your friends about this podcast. And if you want to be a part of this podcast, you want to tell your story, please email me. The email will be linked below. And I will talk to y'all later, y'all. Happy Friday, y'all. Bye, y'all.